everyone. Thanks for being here. You could be at a SEAL team photo op with David, and you chose to be with us. We appreciate you.
We're at Disney World. There's so many options.
So many options.
Yeah. There you go.
Right, we can do it all. We can do it all. How's your weekend been so far?
Busy. Really busy. It's so impressive how the shows are still so popular and you guys care anymore, and you show up and you line up and you wait and pay your hard-earned money to be here with us. It's really special, so thank you. 25 years later. Bucky's even longer? 28 years ago.
28.
Mary and Joseph.
And yet we're only getting younger. But amazing. So, since this is technically what they're calling the Ladies of Angel panel, I wanted to start by talking about the fact that both of y'all played such strong and dynamic female characters. So, yes, which is so important. So, how did you guys feel about the impact that your characters had of portrayals of women in TV at the time?
Gosh. It's so interesting that show happened when it did, and there wasn't social media, and there wasn't Twitter, and all of this stuff. So for me, I don't think I really knew the impact at the time when it was happening, and it's been something that getting to meet people at events like this afterwards, and just the impact and how it's continued to make a difference in people, and also just seeing how those characters have other TV shows where then like, oh, we want a strong woman, oh, we want a Buffy type character, we want a Cordelia type character, you know, so watching TV kind of unfold after that point. But yeah, it's been, I wish that we could go back in time, even though there's so many things about social media I hate, but like with Person of Interest or something, getting that immediate response of knowing like, oh, this is affecting people, this is making a difference. We didn't have that.
I think for Cordelia, you know, back in the day when I was on Buffy, there wasn't social media, but there was like message boards and there were conventions. So I have been able to benefit from communication with the fans from an early age. But I don't think, though, when I was doing that the character per se was really resonating with everyone as much as it was later during Angel. So again, to reiterate what she said, social media, I can't imagine if we were on social media during Buffy and Angel, it would have just been bananas, cuckoo bananas. And I think like there are pros and cons to social media leveraging any kind of social movement or philanthropic work or just raising awareness around whatever. That's great, but I think the impact probably would have been at that age. It was already a lot, but I think with the impact at that age with social media, it might have been intense, maybe too intense. So I do believe like everything kind of happened for me the way that it was supposed to. But I'm grateful for the love that I get today, you know, and I get to experience, you know, people telling me how Cordelia has influenced them, which is always a shock. They're like, Cordelia's strength, and I was like, she was really mean. Like, why do you respond to her? Why does she resonate? I have to really, you know, elicit that information because I really want to know. I'm very curious as to what era, if you will, people responded to Cordelia the most. And I think what I was shocked to find out is that Cordelia's, what somebody said to me yesterday was, it was just that she was so authentically herself. That she was, if she thought it, she said it. But it was always like her truth. And I think that for me, you know, the person I was speaking with yesterday, that was inspiring because I have a lot of thoughts about and feelings about the way I move in the world, and I want to be able to be more faithful to my inner self. And that was inspiring for Cordelia. And then I was like, you know, like I'm never not impressed by your thoughts about the character or our shows. It's, you know, why I love doing this so much and started a company about it.
Can you tell us about the company?
I feel like I've talked a lot already.
That's totally fine. All good. Okay, so obviously the world of Angel had a lot of creativity, and I want to know if there was any supernatural elements that you guys particularly enjoyed working with.
Wait, what's the question?
Like, which supernatural elements did you guys enjoy working with the most?
You know, the supernatural elements were like not real. I mean it like
what?
No,
the whole time.
There you go. Meaning like we didn't get to spoiler alert. We didn't get to. I don't. What do you mean by special?
I mean,
like,
okay, so
the makeup or like that
yeah, sure,
kind of
okay,
stuff.
yeah, sure, yeah, we can go that
or
direction.
CGI. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really fun when Cordelia went up into, I don't know, I think it was season 4, and she became a higher being and went up to the ether, and I literally was strapped in a body thing and craned up and very high, hundreds and hundreds of feet into the air. And they did it on a LA freeway, you know, like near a big parking garage. So I think it was like at, 4 in the morning when they could just close the freeway and do that in LA. So that was kind of trippy. Is that an answer? Is that a good
Are you
answer?
afraid of heights? Like, or what was that like?
100% afraid, which also means I have to do it.
Yeah. Do it scared. I love it.
Yeah, I think while we were shooting, there was so much practical stuff. Like Charisma was saying, that people just don't do that anymore. Like you just don't. Barely. A lot of times people don't even wear like the colored contacts. They'll just change that. And so we got to really act with these people instead of like a tennis ball or a green screen. They put makeup on and they spent a lot of time and a lot of like artistry behind it. That being said, it was apparently very uncomfortable wearing all those monster makeups, and people would be very passing out, always complaining, itching, can someone touch, and it was like, I just remember thinking like, wow, these people complain a lot. It looks cool. And then I had to do an episode of Grimm, and I had this makeup on, and I was like, I feel like I need to call every single monster ever on Angel and say, how did you do that? It was the worst thing. So,
When I did Buffy, I only had to do prosthetic one time. And it was when Cordelia got the snake bite on her face, and I had to go into the special effects studio, which was like way out in the valley, super far, like 2 hours away, in Van Nuys maybe. And they did a whole head cast. Did you do that for Grimm?
Yeah.
Oh, in Grimm. And they did a whole, and I am claustrophobic. I have a lot of issues. I'm afraid of heights, being claustrophobic, and it was really frightening because you feel like you can't breathe. And so they put straws in your nose, and you're getting, it's heavy like clay or whatever it is, dumped on you or painted on you. And, they're talented people. That's not to say that they don't know what they're doing. It's just like, it's a lot as an actor, like what goes on and what takes place behind the scenes to make this great, cool show. But the vampires would have to do that. All the monsters would have to do that. I mean, the show is demanding in so many ways, And I remember talking even with Sarah once, talking about how afraid she was of being in a grave or being buried, or and that's had to happen. Like, you have to kind of get over it, a lot of your stuff that you're terrified of. And I think that's personally a great thing because you can grow, but also hard.
Definitely, and especially like when you have to do it, for a show and everyone's watching you face your fears, and that's stuff too amazing. Okay, so obviously we have David Boreanaz here this weekend as well, and so I want to know, what was it like on set working with him and your other fellow cast members? What was the chemistry like on set with everybody?
I really miss Andy Hallett. Andy was so funny. He was just a dear heart, he would sit, he had these expressions like, oh, balls, he was like a old man in a young body. He just had funny old old school ways of seeing the world and kind of telegraphing his experience to the world. So that was always interesting and fun. And speaking of a lot of makeup and special effects, he was going through it. I think that for the most part, the chemistry was fun and good and pleasant, and we did our best.
Supernatural elements that disappeared.
Special effect.
All right, we're going to take some questions from the crowd. You're up, my friend. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi, my name is Kat, and just to give you a little background, I currently work for TSA. I'm a supervisor. So I have PTSD, anxiety, panic disorder, and it's not an easy job, first of all, and a lot of times being a female in authority, I'll be like, why is this dude losing his crap? Oh yeah, I forgot, I'm a female. So I wanted to thank you ladies. We don't need to say any names, but for your professionalism in dealing with the things you had to deal with to film this show and Buffy, and so thank you for your strength and your professionalism. No matter what, you're survivors, and that's what this whole show's really meant to me. If I was to get something tattooed, it would be actually from a Buffy book. They're kind of carrying on the series in book form, and it's something along the lines of, some things in life you're not supposed to survive, you're not supposed to win, you're not supposed to beat. Some things in life you're simply meant to survive. So I just wanted to share that with you, and thank you. And we all would like to thank you as well for everything you've given us. Thank you.
Bring it all the way down for me. First of all, hi ladies. I'm so thrilled to be talking to you. You are such a big part of my life and of everybody's lives here. And you look absolutely beautiful and the same, and I don't know what kind of magic elixir you take, because it's been 25 years and you're still running, so hooray for that. And this is not a strictly angel question, but you both were able to look into the eyes of David Boreanaz, James Masters, and also Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, which is just not fair, all right? And I wanted to just say that I really wish that there had been, because you guys were all on WB and CW at the same time, it would have been so cool to have a supernatural angel crossover, you know what I mean? And that's what? Was it around the same time? Yeah. I think Supernatural started like right at that very end type of thing, so it was just kind of like a bump off.
Yeah, we should have just been able to go onto their show.
Wouldn't that have been fun? I mean, you guys are the same car. Right. Yeah. You guys did go onto their show, and you both were fabulous on that show, by the way. I love those episodes. But I just wanted to again, like the other lady said, just thank you for being part of our world. And even though you don't know any of us who are glomming onto you and just like giving you all these accolades, we all know you so well. And even though we're not your best friends, you guys are like our best friends. So just thank you so much.
I have a funny story about what you just said, about how it feels like because you feel like we're your best friends.
Right.
So I went to go see Cabaret on Broadway with Eddie Redmayne the other day. And I had, in December, before this past December, I had binged Scandal. And I saw Bellamy with Tony Goldwyn at the thing, but I didn't realize that she was from Scandal. I thought she was a different person that I had met and worked with in LA a few years ago. So I go, oh my God, hey! And I give her this big hug. And she looks at me, she's like, oh, hi. And I go, it's Charisma. She goes, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't have my glasses on or whatever, you know. She was so sweet about it. She's like, she had no idea who I was. And she goes, and we get out so she can go in, and then they sit right next to me. And what happened was when I pulled back, I clocked it was Tony Goldwyn. I'm like, oh. I thought I knew her because I binged
Right.
Scandal.
Right.
She's not my friend.
Right.
I don't know her.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm such an idiot.
Right.
So then she sits down, and Tony's next to me, and Bellamy's next to him. And then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh my God. So listen, you don't know me. I'm so sorry. I thought you were so-and-so, this person. She's like, no, that's totally fine. No, don't we know each other from Jen, da-da-da? I'm like, no, we've never actually met. But I just had to confess and tell you because I feel so embarrassed. She's like, it's fine. And Tony was laughing, and I'm like, I love Scandal. It's such an honor to be sitting next to you, Mr. President. It was, he's so cute. But yeah, that was, like, I get it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It happens to me too.
It's like,
You're my bestie.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit, I don't even know you.
And like, I had to explain that to like Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I was like sobbing, like, I've known you since you were a child, and he's looking at me like, you know, lady. Like, thank you for being here.
I'm the shortest adult here, but hi, my name's Michelle. It's funny that you were saying that because I'm here with my girlfriend back there. She loves you guys too, but we've never come to a Comic-Con. So yeah, thank you. Well, we saw that you guys were gonna be here, and that was it. We were like, okay, we're gonna have to make it work. Drive from Miami. And I'm like, do we just walk up to them? They're strangers. But it worked out. So, to my question, the both of you, I feel personally, and she might agree as well, you guys have had a lot of character development throughout this span of being on the show. So I'm just kind of curious, I guess, what was your favorite, like most fun Cordelia era and Fred era, and what was the most challenging and difficult to actually do?
Oh gosh. I mean, Fred was fun. It was my first job, and I was like just so happy to be working and to be there and getting to play this part. And I think as probably the most fun part for me, I really love the episodes when I got to like switch between Fred and Illyria and do both in the same episodes. Those were always my favorite because it was just fun to get to act with myself. That sounds weird. No, but it was. I just liked the different relationships. Like I loved. Each person had like doing the scenes with James or something, the Illyria and James whole vibe. I was like, I just want to do these scenes all the time because they would make me laugh so hard. And then I loved doing Fred stuff with Alexis, and so it just kind of every scene had something special about it, I feel.
I would have to say, like, one of my favorite episodes, the first thing that comes to mind is Spin the Bottle. When we all were together in the hotel lobby and we're all tripping and having our experiences, I thought that was a really fun time to all be together and be under the influence. And it was great to experience as a person to be able to watch how everybody chose the choices they made as an actor. You know, I always felt that I was surrounded and was really lucky with the talent that was on that set. So to see everybody do their thing was really fun. I always loved to fight. I always loved to, you know, get into the mix and that stuff. I had always hoped to be Wonder Woman, but it didn't work out. And there's just always that element of physicality along with the sass. Like, to be able to get that across was always really fun. And I think the best part was about Angel is just being able to go from a one-dimensional character to a full, like, onto a higher being and just be like the heart, you know, and friend that she got to be to Angel. Yeah, it was just a lot of range there that, as a professional, that I got to do, and I was grateful for that.
Thanks. Hello, my name is Joelle. I'm from Canada, and I came all the way just for the Buffy and Angel cast. And my question is specifically for Amy regarding The Watchful Eye. We're so sorry it got canceled. But was there any plans for the future if season 2 was going to happen, of anything that possibly would, any speculations?
They didn't give us a lot of information, but I know that Chris, who, I don't think it's a spoiler, my husband that
You killed?
I killed. Yes. But I know they had already said you're going to be on season 2 as a ghost, so that he was going to be haunting me. So that was going to be fun because he's hilarious and so fun to work with. But yeah, I don't know what. Marielle and I pitched a lot of ideas that we thought were brilliant, but they never really showed us what they were thinking, though I know they had given them, they made it seem like it was coming back. They had picked up all of our contracts, and then just as the strike kept going on, I think they just decided not to do it.
They did you wrong.
Right?
They really did. It was an amazing show and should have had at least a couple more seasons.
Well, thank you.
Well,
it was fun to shoot in Canada, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Allison. I'm from Brooklyn. I also came here specifically for y'all, and thank you so much for being here. Both your characters meant a lot to me as a young person, and so much of that is the care and the talent that you both brought. And I was wondering, what is something that you wish you would have known at the beginning of your career, or the beginning of your time on either show, that you know now? Like, what would you tell your younger self if you could?
Right now, I feel like I still need to hear some. The business is constantly changing, and it's feeling like with everything that's happened the past few years with COVID and the strike and just the streamers and everything, it's like, I feel like every day I kind of have to wake up and be like, you do this because you love it, and it's all gonna work out, and something great's gonna come, and but kind of for me, I think it's that, just being able to have faith and to know that there's so many jobs along the way that I wish that I would have gotten, and then it ended up something else came along that was better or just as good, or I met a really great person out of. So just kind of knowing that things are gonna happen when they're supposed to.
I think that's a really tough question for me to answer for some reason. Nothing's really coming to my mind as much as mainly, like, yes, like she said, everything's going to work out and that kind of stuff. But I think the one thing that I would say is, like, to have a backup plan. Because you don't know how, with all the changes in the industry and in terms of, like, shooting a show and then, like, not having residuals anymore, because in modern days, networks are, like, pulling things off the platform altogether, and it's impossible sort of later on in life. Like, as much as I love doing what I am doing, you don't always get to do it, and you don't always, like, I feel like I grew up at a time, and I was in the industry at a time that was most, I think, could be viewed by many of us as, like, the golden era, because before us, contracts were tough on actors, and now it looks like contracts are getting difficult going forward. And it's making it more difficult for you to maintain your health care. It's getting more difficult for you to, you know, get the residuals for retirement and to qualify for your retirement for the most. So I'm grateful that I was doing it at the time that I was doing it, because I think it was, oh gosh, her name escapes me at the moment, but on Euphoria, the blonde, the gorgeous blonde, the blue-eyed blonde.
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney was saying, like, thank you, that she has to have multiple, you know, she's a hot commodity and she gets to work a lot, like on White Lotus and Euphoria and whatever, but they're all on a network platform where before the strike, there weren't residuals. And I think people are really surprised to hear that these big, big movie stars and TV stars that are all splashed on all the magazines aren't really still like they're not living that like quintessential Hollywood life that maybe people think they are, and you know, propped up on a hill somewhere in Hollywood behind a pearly gate. Like that's just not the reality of most actors, and that's not my reality. So I think it's hard to keep going in an industry that is changing and constantly not respecting your art and your creativity and all that you give to be a part of a thing. But now that the strike is over, I'm hoping, you know, there have been some things that have come out of it that maybe it will work out, but always have a backup plan would probably be the number one thing, like diversify, which is more popular now. Like when we were growing up, like branding was like a thing you don't do, and all like the big stars like George Clooney and Brad Pitt, they would always do things out of like in Japan, you know, like it was always kind of, you would never, like big movie stars would never do TV. And now it's very common to get, you know, so now these big movie stars are taking our TV jobs and we're like, wait, you know, or like a supermodel is crossing over into television, and you're like, wait, you know, like I can't be a supermodel, I can't be on like, I don't, I'm not, probably could. No. That's sweet, thank you, but you know what I mean. Like, it's the wild, wild west right now, I feel like. So
also, when we were young, like if you were an actress, maybe especially, like that was, you weren't like gonna direct or write or something too. It was kind of like, this is what, it felt like a very small box.
And even as an actor, if you're known to be like, say, the bitch, then that's all people would want to see. Like, it's really hard to break out of those things, but I think, you know, it's harder now for younger actors, but yet not as hard because branding issues and opportunities come, and they can leverage their social media popularity. Like, it's just not, the industry is always changing, so diversify. Diversify your interests, go to school, find something else. You know, if you want to direct, if you want to write, if you want to be a lawyer, do that and act. But yeah, that's it. I'm talking to you. Bye.
Thank you both so much.
All right, we have about 5 minutes left, and we have these final 3 questions.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I'm from Titusville, Florida. Okay, I wanted to know who in the Buffy Angelverse, who was your favorite couple and why?
I mean, you know who wasn't a couple, which on Slayers, the podcast, which is fun, I felt like Spike and Cordelia were maybe going to connect. And I thought, did you get that? Huh?
That should have happened. That would have been
If we had a season 2, I think it was going to happen. I don't know, that's an Amber question, and Christopher Golden, but the vibe was that I couldn't believe the chemistry that we were having on a microphone across the room from each other. So that would have been so fun.
Yeah.
You know, like just sass on sass on sass on sass. Just have fun with, and fighty and bitey and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been such a thrill to do that. But my favorite couple is obviously Angel and Cordelia.
Yes.
I mean, Angel Cordelia is hard to beat. I also, for my Buffy, it would probably be Willow and Tara.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Thank you. What's yours? The OG.
Forever.
Forever.
Hi, I'm Gina from St. Augustine, Florida. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's been a great weekend. My question's a little similar to hers. Your characters had several different relationships through both shows with you and through Angel with you. Who do you think your character should have ended up with? There was a happily ever after for your character. I take it yours would probably be Angel after The Last Dancer.
I mean, I loved them as a character because the relationship stemmed from deep friendship. And I think anytime a relationship, even in real life, if the foundation is friendship, then it's everlasting, right? But I honestly don't know. I feel like Cordelia was kind of a solo lady, you know? Her and her cats. She doesn't have cats, but meow.
I'd probably say Fred and Wesley.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I'm Michelle. I'm from Little Whiskey, Georgia. I have a question for each of you. They're a little bit hard. With you, I'm sorry. But with you and Wesley, when you were Illyria and he was dying, was that very hard for you?
That was a really, just that day in general, because that was actually the last day that we shot, so we knew the whole thing was over, and I love Alexis as a human, and and working with him so much, and so just that was like the final scene we shot for the show, and there was lots of crying. It wasn't hard to cry on screen, is all I'm saying. Yeah, it was really sad.
And Charisma, I've been rewatching Buffy, getting ready for the panel because this is why I came. So I was rewatching the episode where you were trying to get Buffy and Xander and Willow to understand that you were alone. That you were alone, that you had nobody, and that's why you were the way you were, trying to keep that strength up so nobody could see the real you. I can relate. So how hard was it for you to film those episodes?
Isn't that the magic of the show? Isn't it really how those sorts of conversations are had? And that I think that is probably what makes the shows so timeless, is that it truly does resonate with, in a universal way, with people on a deep, deep level. I think the scene that you're thinking of is when she talks to Buffy and says, I'm alone all the time, and she's like, well, then why do you hang out with everybody? And it's like, well, it's easier to be alone with a bunch of people than by yourself. Exactly. Is that the scene you're thinking of?
That's exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think, hurt people maybe hurt people, and, she was obviously coming from a home where she was neglected, and even though she on the outwardly had like everything, the car, the clothes, and all that stuff, but like really behind the scenes, she wasn't seen by her core family. And from that stemmed a lot of emptiness, and she would cover and protect, I guess, to kind of overcompensate for that child wound. Was it hard to shoot? I mean, not really. I didn't feel like I felt connected to what she was trying to convey. I didn't have that experience. I didn't feel that childhood wound in my family. My family I have the most incredible family in the world. I mean, I did lose my mom 2 years ago. That's tough. But my parents were incredibly supportive. So that is an example of actually just being an artist that can, have empathy for the character and advocate for the character and be with the character and, be able to say she's misunderstood. And because we have to support our character to be able to perform it. So that was just the challenge of the day. It's just finding the truth of her and being able to explain with an open heart, like it's, matter-of-factly, like the way that she did it. So just, there's a lot of coaching that goes on. For me, personally, I had a lot of coaching. I talked about my character a lot with a professional acting coach and worked with them on the delivery of those lines all the time, all day long, every day I was on set. So.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much again. Thank you for all your questions. Before we wrap it up, any thoughts you guys want to leave us with here this afternoon?
I think Charisma said it best at the beginning, just how much we appreciate all of you and being here and how special it is that you guys still love the show and care, and it's so fun to then give us the opportunity to reconnect with each other as well. So it's really special. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here this weekend. One more time, everybody. Randy Acker,
you.